Hello there, Hollows, and welcome to another video. So, a man sitting alone at a bonfire is not something that ever really would have grabbed my attention in any kind of game before. For example, the crestfallen warrior in the original Dark Souls sitting staring into blank space at Firelink Shrine when there's a bonfire in front of him, surrounded by the amazing visual aesthetic of Firelink Shrine. That's not something that ever would have grabbed my attention in any game. Take Oblivion or Skyrim. If there was someone sitting at a bonfire in those games, it would never really have much of an impact on me. And I even personally would go as far as to say in Elden Ring, when you see that man that looks like Santa, and he is a merchant and he's sitting close to a bonfire, it doesn't have that same kind of feeling, in my personal opinion, that I get from Dark Souls, where the crestfallen warrior, he's sitting in front of the bonfire, and you just kind of get this feeling before you even talk to him. You can tell that he's lonely. You can tell that he's lost his purpose. You can tell that he feels like he's given up, and that's just based on how he's sitting. The solemn music of Firelink Shrine, even though it kind of feels peaceful, it still feels solemn and foreboding. The architecture, the world, everything about the world of Dark Souls combines together to make this amazing atmosphere, which has always captivated me about all three of the Dark Souls games, Demon Souls as well as Bloodborne. All five of these games managed to capture this amazing feeling of a world which is just so hostile. The people in it are just giving up all hope, and it's this incredibly depressing feeling you get just from everything, and somehow it just comes across in every aspect of the game. In my personal opinion, the original Dark Souls captures this the absolute best. However, I personally feel like Dark Souls 3 is close, and I'd say it's like if Dark Souls captures this feeling 100%, I'd say Dark Souls 3 captures 98% of this feeling, in my personal opinion, where the world is just, it's in disarray, and yet somehow there's just this kind of just tiny little flicker of hope that somehow something will improve. And in my personal opinion, it's the reason why all the Dark Souls games have often been compared to being a metaphor for battling depression, is because of that kind of feeling that you get when playing the game. And sometimes I feel like maybe it's just me, but it's not, because I've seen loads of people online who have expressed the same kind of feeling about the world of Dark Souls. Somehow it just manages to pull me in like no other world ever has in any kind of game. And I personally feel like in the original Dark Souls anyway, it's a combination of visual aesthetic, the writing, the music, as well as just the feeling you get when playing the game, which is that kind of combination of everything I've just mentioned. Everything manages to capture this amazing feeling. I personally feel like if you're someone that this has managed to connect to when playing the Dark Souls games, you will actually understand what I'm saying. And there are a lot of people out there, I feel like, who these themes in the game have really resonated with. And I would say I'm one of those people where all the themes in the game have managed to resonate with me personally and create a game which is never going to be beaten. And that's what the original Dark Souls is for me. Everything about the world, from your initial Northern Undead Asylum escape, to battling the Taurus Demon, to ringing the bells of awakening, going down to the absolute pits of hell with Blight Town, where everything is just terrible. Everything is just shit, and that's literally what it is. And then you come out of Blight Town, and then you battle through Sen's Fortress, which is almost just as hostile as Blight Town ever was, where it seems like everything is trying to get you, everything is trying to kill you, there's traps constantly everywhere, and then you reach that amazing feeling of reaching Anor Londo, which is just this amazing peak in the game, visually, architecturally, everything looks amazing when you get there, just to realize that this is another challenge. And then you get through that, and then you find Guinevere, and she tells you, no, there's more things for you to do, there's more obstacles that are in your way, there's more adversity for you to overcome, to end up defeating all of those, going right back to your safe haven, which is Firelink Shrine. Sometimes you might even find out that that safe haven has now been taken away from you, with Lordran killing the Firekeeper. You go to the kiln of the First Flame to find out that actually you're not improving anything. You are just doomed to repeat this cycle again and again. That constant cycle, a never-ending cycle of battling adversity, battling the obstacles that are put in your way. You can try and overcome it, and you always will overcome those obstacles that you're faced with. But that challenge never ends, and the cycle goes on forever, and you're never going to be able to beat it. You just have to keep trying to persist and persevere and keep pushing forward in the hope that eventually, like what happens with Dark Souls, you get better at the game, and then those obstacles are no longer as difficult for you. You still keep going. You still keep going again and again, and the loop of the game never really ends, just like the demons that we fight in our own lives never really ends. And I feel like that whole... no one would ever have picked up on the connections between Dark Souls and battling the demons that all of us have in our own heads if it wasn't for the game's amazing atmosphere and tension, writing, the way the world connects. Everything just seems like, to me, it fits into place to be a perfect metaphor for that, crafted by From Software, even if they didn't mean to. And that's the thing, Hidetaka Miyazaki, I'm pretty sure it was him anyway, he said that it was never intended to be a metaphor for that, but he acknowledges that that is something that people can interpret from the game. And I feel like it is, it just... yeah. Everything about the game, to me, feels like it lines up perfectly to encapsulate the game being a metaphor for that. The demons that we all have to face in our lives, the obstacles we all have to overcome, be it mental or physical obstacles that we encounter in our lives. And I honestly feel like those themes originated in that kind of form in Dark Souls 1. Those themes being put into video game form originated with the original Dark Souls, and it all, to me, seems to be perfectly expressed in that game, that original game. And that's one of the many reasons why the original Dark Souls for me will never be surpassed. And yes, I am a simp for the original Dark Souls. Yes, I am a simp for From Software and Hidetaka Miyazaki. I love them all. And I love all the games they've come out with. That's the thing. They all resonate with me, and they all hit me emotionally like no other games ever will. And I don't think anyone can ever really understand that, hopefully, except for some of the people who are watching this video. It's one of those things. I've talked to people, friends, family, relatives, people I've met in the world, and no one ever quite understands. In my person, I don't think anyone ever will. The reason why the game is so special to me, as well as to loads of other people. I think it's one of those things where, if you get it, if the games hit with you and click with you, then they do. But they won't with everybody. And I do feel like that this series, the Dark Souls series, and From Software's games, they are like that. All of them are. It's like, there are some people where the games just never will work for. And I think you have to kind of understand that. Like when I tried to introduce the game to my uncle, he played the game and he just didn't quite get it. He just didn't. It's not that he didn't get it. It just, the themes didn't resonate with him. The world didn't resonate with him. The things that the game wanted you to do and expected of you just didn't seem to work for him. And that's no criticism of him. It's just that the game didn't click for him, just like it doesn't click for a lot of people. But if it does click with you, it really does. And I feel like it is one of those games where once you've played it, if it works for you and those themes and everything that From Software are trying to get you to do, and if you do truly engross yourself in the game, you will never ever be able to play another game the same. You'll never be able to look at any other games the same. Anyway, I've simped about the original Dark Souls so much on this channel, but that's the point of this channel, isn't it really? It's for my rambles about Dark Souls, and some people will get it and you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you are one of those people, then feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Maybe even share this video with anyone else you think might enjoy it if it was good enough. Thank you again for watching. This is Saul, signing out. Have a good one.